Hey Jeff, nice to have you here.
It's nice to be here, thanks.
Let me ask you a few questions to help me defend LuxTag more in the world when I go out and talk to our prospect customers. And I get this one question, why NEM?
Yeah, let me talk about that.
Please help me on that one.
Sure. So, first of all, LuxTag is revolutionary in its technology. And one of the reasons why we've been able to do so much at LuxTag is because of the NEM blockchain. So NEM uses a completely different architecture than all the other platforms. So if we have, for instance, maybe Ethereum, it's very interesting. It has a good blockchain, and then it has an Ethereum virtual machine. And all the smart contracts have to exist in the Ethereum virtual machine. That's a very good system for some things, but not exactly documents and notarizations. In that the fact that in Ethereum, almost always what someone's going to try to do, or in Bitcoin, is they're just going to be able to put the fingerprint of a document. So they take a document, they don't actually put the whole document on the blockchain, but they just put the fingerprint on the blockchain. And it's not even necessarily in the blockchain. If they want to do something very complicated, they have to put it in the virtual machine. That's very expensive. At NEM, we figured out a much more scalable and cheaper and easier solution. And this is because we don't have to use complicated smart contracts written from scratch in new computer languages. Instead, we use APIs and an SDK. And the NEM APIs and the LuxTag SDK are extremely efficient. And this is how modern computer apps for Android and iPhone usually work. They connect to the operating system with APIs and SDKs. Each app doesn't have to rebuild everything from scratch. They just utilize the tools that are already there. And that's what NEM is doing. That's what LuxTag is doing. We are utilizing the tools that are already there. And we have some amazing tools that we are able to utilize. First of all, NEM is the only blockchain that can make a unique certificate container for each item and put information in it. So for instance, in other platforms, somebody will take a diploma and they would just put a fingerprint of the diploma on the blockchain, which is not the original document. And the original document can get corrupted, it can get lost, and then the fingerprint is worthless. At LuxTag, we can take a fingerprint, or we can take the whole information set in that document, like for a diploma, and put that in the blockchain. But it just doesn't stop there. In other platforms, you have a fingerprint, and how do you transfer ownership of a fingerprint? You can't. How do you add messages and memos to a fingerprint? You can't. How do you update it? You just have to make a new fingerprint. You can't really do that in other blockchains, or if you could do it, it turns out to be incredibly complicated. With our LuxTag SDK and our LuxTag app, we give a certificate for every individual item. It allows extra information, memos, data to be put inside of it. And this information can also be transferable from person to person. So in LuxTag, when you get a certificate for a car ownership or a house ownership or a luxury item authenticity certificate for a watch, when you sell that watch to someone else or you transfer that ownership paper, you can transfer it on the blockchain from one person to another.